Exactly.
They trying to get they trying to make sure this minority stuff don't hit them by 2050. You know?
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to. They're not gonna be able to do anything about that.
No, that's that is out
Yeah,
the can, boy.
right. Yeah, that train is not gonna stop.
Uh, okay, how much $5,000 payment you get first time travel? I'm trying to
Well,
figure out
that
how they're gonna limit that to just Caucasians. You know what I mean?
right. And plus, the Caucasians are not gonna have children like that. They're just not.
They locked in the two-car garage and two children.
Exactly.
Leave it to Beaver mentality.
Yeah, they do, and they
They
like their
sold
life.
that,
They
didn't
like their lifestyle. They like to be able to travel, go on vacation. Man, you get 5 kids, how many vacation trips you take
they?
unless
That's
you
it.
drive it in the car?
That's it. Whereas the immigrants, if they ain't get five, something wrong with
Exactly. Exactly.
them. You ever walk around with two children? What's wrong with you, brother? What's wrong? Step for life. Yeah, one brother got eight, and he's still having them.
Wow.
God,
But
well,
yeah, the thing of it, that's what's exploding across Africa too. Every other part of the world decline in population replacement rate.
mm-hmm,
Every other part of the world.
mm-hmm.
Africa exploding population wise.
And
They're gonna have massive cities in the bush in Nigeria pretty
brother,
soon.
you tell me. And it, I don't know if I read this right, but they said that Mali and Burkina Faso and Niger
Hmm.
were erasing the artificial borders that the Caucasian put up and making one country.
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
I mean, that's what they got going.
Yeah, yeah. That's not happening yet. So think of it like if you had the best situation of Canada, United States, Mexico, as far as trade and the ability just to cross the border, go to work, do whatever you need to do, come back, no restrictions.
Yeah.
That's what they're working on. I mean, you're still going to have the identifiable countries with their government and leadership, but you're not going to have trade restrictions. You're not going to have travel restrictions. They're probably, those three countries are going to have some type of a unified monetary system.
Right.
So, you're not losing money going here or there, whatever. That's, they kind of simplified it, but in reality, I think what I just described is what you're going to see pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, you put those three populations together, kind of acting together as one body, so to speak. And yeah, they become a force in Africa, that you got to invite them to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what they're after as much as anything.
Well, that right there would be enough. I would tell the Caucasian, you ain't the master no more.
Right. Yeah. Everything else comes down to how the other African countries respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as their ability to travel to other African countries without restrictions, whether other African countries are going to continue to trade with them on the same level, how their currency situation is handled, and the other African countries, how much they listen to the Europeans in particular.
Well, it's going to be exposed in a minute.
Oh yeah, yeah, it will be. It will be. That's
It's
for
a guy
sure.
named Lumumba. What's his name?
Lumumba.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What's his name? He's
I,
not.
I I can't remember his first name, but Lumumba is his last.
Yeah, and he was saying that criticizing criticizing Africa. You can be in one country and go to another country, and the internet service is totally different. He was just describing that kind of situation,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it more difficult to even have any kind of cooperation and communication.
Right.
So, but Jeffrey Sachs, I was listening to presentation by him. He's saying that Africa, with some of the moves that's being made, they're on the up and coming.
Where in the world? How are you going to feed the world? The population goes much past the 8 billion that we already have.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to be growing food crops and things like that in Africa. How are you gonna transport all of this stuff? You can't fly it all out, and Africa currently doesn't have infrastructure like rail systems, massive highway system, different things like that. So the investment in Africa over, say, the next 15 to 20 years is going to be massive.
We know the Chinese ain't crazy now.
No, they're not crazy. They are not crazy. And the United States, Biden's last trip, or one of his last trips, was to, let me get this country right. I think it was Namibia. Well, no, he went to Angola.
Mm-hmm.
So the rail system that the United States, and I don't know if Trump is going to follow through on this or not, but the rail system that the United States was going to invest in would have tied everything from the Atlantic Ocean, Angola's Atlantic coast, I'm saying, or Namibia through Angola, South Africa, so all the way to the Indian Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been U.S. investment to be able to get those minerals and stuff out of Africa conveniently and ship them, whether east or west, through the Atlantic or through the Indian Ocean to Asia.
Mm-hmm.
That's even more money for Africa if they're able to pull that off. And of course, it would be beneficial to the United States, because if we don't do it, China will do it.
Right. Right. Right.
And their mining companies are already there. Will just simply they'll clean up. They'll have more control over some minerals that are vital
Well,
to the auto industry, computer
yeah.
industry, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, and Africa just stands to benefit. If Africans can stop fighting themselves, those African countries are going to be in such an incredibly good situation that by 2050, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that you can have the United Nations headquarters moved to Africa.
Mm.
I mean, it's a rich continent.
Oh yeah.
I mean, almost anything you can think of as far as resources are there. And this becoming a more educated population. What they what they never had is infrastructure.
Right.
If they can solve that puzzle, there's no stopping.
That's true.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Omar.
Walaikum
Assalamu
assalam.
alaikum. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Alhamdulillah.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Assalamu alaikum, brother Sharif. Brother Sharif, if you're talking, you're still on mute, but welcome. I did see you come in, and Thank you for joining us this morning. It is 14 after. I'm hoping everybody else will join us shortly. But Adam, will you go ahead and open us up this morning?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Amen.
Me, I think I would be remiss without saying Eid al-Adha Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak, brothers.
So fantastic. So we got a, I'm assuming people are still celebrating. That's why they're late this morning. If they were celebrating far into the night. So hopefully they'll be joining us shortly. And I think we could probably, Omar, unless you have an update on our publication, I think we can probably make this a fairly short meeting this morning. Just a couple of things that I wanted to get to, and I think you guys got emails on them this week. CU Collaborate is they have a webinar coming up on the process of chartering a credit union, and I know we haven't. There's some people that have joined us in the last couple of years that are not 100% up on the chartering process, and I always think that everybody can use a reboot, but they're going to do that. I signed us up for it. I did send out the link for it. I'll do that again. Obviously, I'm not saying everybody has to attend, but if you can, I think it would be great to stick your nose in there. It probably won't last any more than 45 minutes to an hour. I want to say it's a late afternoon webinar. I mean, it's in people's work day, but if you can make it, make it. And I want to say it's the latter part of this month, somewhere around the 24th or something like that. There was that. The more important for a lot of the stuff that we are doing as far as financial literacy is Mambu and Deloitte are doing a presentation, and I can't remember the date right now. I did send you guys this as well. They're doing a presentation on the entire loan process from beginning to end, with all of the sausage making that goes on in the middle of it for any customer that walks into a financial institution, of what that process is like. And I've attended several of the joint presentations that Mambu and Deloitte have put on. They do a really, really good job. And they have a pretty open, they kind of split it between their presentation and Q&A. And I've never had an opportunity to ask a question, but there's some really good questions asked and some really good answers given in the presentations that they do. So if you are only going to attend one of those two, I would attend that one, because I think it would be very good to have that knowledge for individuals in our community and beyond when we start helping people in the way that we want to. Assalamu alaikum, Imam Tariq.
Walaikum assalam, everyone.
And Eid Mubarak, brother. How are you?
Pardon me, Eid Mubarak. I'm well. I pray everyone else is too.
Doing well. Doing well. So there was one other thing, and it's right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. But those two things, I did want to get those out, and I will think of whatever the third one is here pretty quickly, I'm sure. Omar, any updates on the publication at all?
No, other than we're just waiting, for approval from the Library of Congress on our copyright. That's it. Still waiting on Imam Mubashir to finish the cover. So basically,
Okay.
once is finished, we can publish.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Imam Tariq, how everything is going well in Mississippi? Any updates on any of the stuff that you're working on, or any of the southern section going on in the southern section?
Everything seemed to be going well. The heat getting ready to come here.
Okay. I can
Ooh,
appreciate
man.
that.
Yeah, but everything is good.
Right. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Brother Sharif, thank you for your visit. Any words for us this morning, or any points of discussion? Anything you would like to talk about?
No, I was just listening this morning. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Imam Talib, assalamu alaikum and Eid Mubarak, brother.
Eid Saeed. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
I'm
salam.
just coming on here, so alhamdulillah.
Well, I've just mentioned there's two presentations, online presentations that are coming up. One by CU Collaborate on the chartering process for the credit union, and then there's a joint one with Mambu and Deloitte on the loan process of somebody actually getting a loan from a financial institution, of exactly everything that goes into that. And I know I signed this up for the one. I signed myself up for both of them, and I'm thinking the Mambu Deloitte one, you may have to sign yourself up individually for that. I did send those emails and links to everybody, so I'm hoping you got a chance to see that as well. And I mean, the Deloitte one, as I told everybody here a few minutes ago, that's the one I would attend if I had to make a choice, because I think it would be helpful when we're talking to individuals in our community about bank lending, loan process, their preparation for it, things like that. This Mambu and Deloitte do a very good job, and all of their webinars, they're really excellent. And that had a third thing, as I told everybody before. I can't think of it right now. We'll get back to that, because we're having a short meeting this morning, I hope. So, anything else from anybody?
Wait a minute. I remember seeing the piece. Let me see. I'm looking now. You sent two, you said?
Yeah, I sent them separately. Yeah, the CU Collaborate one, I'm pretty sure that's the first one that I sent out.
Okay.
And I'll actually find those here in a second.
This was for collective conversation. I thought I remember seeing those. Oh, wait a minute. I think this is it here. Yeah, wait a minute. I think I got it. Okay. Yeah, the Mambu. Oh, that's June the 18th, 3:00. Okay, and that one you say we need to register for?
Double check that. I know I
No,
registered. The
18th.
CU Collaborate one, I think I registered for everybody. They sent out one link and I shared the link. The one with Mambu, thinking that you're right that everybody has to register on their own.
Mhm. Okay, and that's the one you said that's on the process of lending?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. 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 No, I'm just kind of reading through okay. Yeah, I remember I think we spoke to Mambu early on.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
probably 2 years ago. We actually had one of their representatives come on and give us a bit of a presentation on their banking platform.
right. Yeah, I will yeah, I'll try and let me see something here. Because I think I'll just be getting back. Yeah, I'll be back on the 17th. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, that should prove to be interesting. And the other one, uh, that's more of a marketing.
Now, the other one with CU Collaborate is simply on the chartering process for the credit union. So
Oh,
every year they kind of cycle through walking parties through the chartering process and updates and things like that on what NCUA is doing and what credit unions have to any
so
kind of new
that's the
regulatory
one
changes and stuff.
that's the one you're going to attend.
Yeah, that's the one I signed up for because it's an organizational sign up. So I had to sign the entire organization up and share the link for anybody that wants to attend now.
Okay. Because and I think that was the one, and maybe I missed it. Or maybe you can remind me. That's the one that I originally looked at and couldn't figure out. When is it?
Let me double check. Yeah, so Mambu is on the 18th.
Yeah, that's the 18th.
CU Collaborate.
But I see the link to join the meeting, but it doesn't give a date or a time.
Yeah, let me get back to that real quick. I'll tell you. So the CU Collaborate is, hold on, that's the wrong one. I've got several of theirs. Let me see if I can find the most recent.
Yeah, because even when you said you booked the online, meeting, I guess as Graceline, it doesn't give a date.
Mm-hmm. Yet. Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam, Sister Khalida. How are you? Alhamdulillah.
Eid Mubarak. Well, alhamdulillah, and yourself?
Yeah, we're doing wonderful. Yeah, this is
That's great.
we got a good little crowd today here.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's slowing down, I guess, for Eid, and family time and doing all the essentials. So, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of other programs going on at the same time, you know.
Yes, yes, we do. Assalamu alaikum, Imam DeLacy. That sound like Imam DeLacy. Was that Imam DeLacy or Brother Sharif?
Brother Sharif.
Yes, Muhammad Sharif.
Alhamdulillah, you sound a little bit alike.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
maybe you could give us a update because a lot of us missed your inauguration yesterday.
Yeah,
Could you bring us up to date?
yes. Sister Martha Nyla administered the oath of office for the CEO of CWSC, not CWSC, actually American Muslim 360, which is the CWSC, I'm sorry, is the parent company of American Muslim 360. So the oath of office is something that every CEO has to take, and I can read it to you, those of you who have missed it, but it is something that I adhere to, and it follows the guidelines and principles of CWSC and American Muslim 360. And so with that said, it's just the opportunity to serve the community with a structured format and also knowing the liability and responsibility that comes along with that position. So hold on just a second. Let me see if I can go to my email and read exactly verbatim. Those of you who missed it, what? Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Thank you. Well, like they always say, you lead by example, others will follow. And just even being on the Zoom and sincerely with all of you, I haven't really met some of you in person, but I see the work that you do in the community and I hear you talk about it, and it inspires me to, deliver what I have to offer as well. So thank you for what you do and have been doing and will continue to do, because as my father said, you never retire. You never retire from serving Allah. So this is what it says. Here it is. Office by CWSC Executive Director, Martha Nala Abdullah. And then she asked me to raise my right hand and repeat after her. And this is what I said. All reverence, all worship, all sanctity are due to Allah. Peace be upon all the messengers of Allah and the mercy of Allah and his blessings. Peace be on us and all righteous servants of Allah. I, Khalida Karima Akbar, in accordance with the applicable laws of the state of North Carolina and the United States, do accept appointment as co-director of the think tank for Community-Wide Shura Conference, Incorporated in Service to Humanity. I solemnly affirm before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and before present as witnesses that I will fulfill my duties and obligations as both a leader and follower, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties and responsibilities assumed to the best of my ability. I mean, takbir 3 times. Assalamu alaikum. So that was basically it. And then she said, presented as witnesses, Imam Abdulaziz, Martha Naila Abdullah, William Kareem, recorded proceedings submitted to Dr. Aisha Kareem, CEO Emeritus, AM 360, CWXC Executive Committee, Imam Omar Shakur, Texas State Imam Chaplain, CWXC Executive Committee. And that was something that she didn't change the words, but it's really for the CEO of American Muslim 360, not just the think tank. I am part of that, but mashallah, this is standard. So she just changes the words because she also has to do Sister Manira, Habil Uma, and I also took an oath of office when I did the program manager. So as co-director of the think tank, That's not what it is. The CEO of American Muslim 360. And also I'm co-manager of the Strategic Family Institute, which right now is theoretical. However, myself and Sister Manira Pabil are working on making it, establishing it. And what we're going to be focusing on is building communities through not just marriage, but also business, education, culture, and government. And we're not going to be able to go into every city or state. But the vision that we have is that we connect with the human resources departments there, the Department of Education, Department of Social Services, the housing partnerships, and things like that. So when people contact us through CWSC from whatever state, we have a partnership where we can at least at minimum give them referrals and guide them to financial assistance or whatever they need, whether it's family, marital counseling, seeking a mate. So that's a wide scope. But Martha asked me maybe 3 years ago to construct a component, another component of CWSC, and in regards to vows, which was a marriage committee. And so that was the name that I came up with, and that was the vision. And voila, Sister Manira was already doing that for AM 360. So I asked her to partner with me, and Sister Martha Nyla confirmed it. And so we are co-managers, whenever you hear that, of Strategic Family Institute. But we welcome all your input, and we're a work in progress. AM 360 and CWSC, to be honest. And so just keep us in dua, and we appreciate your support. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah.
Alaikum assalam.
Yes, ma'am. And once again, congratulations. That's a tall task you're taking on.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
We'll take it on as collectively, but I know that it is, and I pray Allah for guidance, and I will humbly work and follow as well as I learn my role. So thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Well, I believe you're well qualified. You've been on the training of your father.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir.
So you. Mhm. Mhm.
So Edward, did you find it?
Yeah, I actually just sent it out to everybody.
Oh, okay.
It's on the 24th. It's kind of late middle afternoon. I think it starts at like 3:45 Central Time on the
Okay.
24th. It's with that Emily, and I can't remember her last name, and I just saw it. Emily Wilson or something like that. She'll actually be the presenter for CU Collaborate.
Mm.
Alhamdulillah. And thank you, Brother Sharif, for that reminder. Yes, I was working and trained under Imam Khalil Akbar and all the imams that he associated with. So I do have some insight on how the community works, but definitely asking Allah's guidance. Thank you so much. And I'm done. I want to hear what y'all been talking about and how we're going to move forward with the credit union. And inshallah, I'll keep you updated. Assalamu alaikum.
So
One other thing I would like to say is that concerning your elevation to, I'd like to say the whole word, Chief Executive Officer.
Yes, alhamdulillah. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. That's huge, I know. Alhamdulillah.
Well, Sister
And you-
Kalita, what
you-
we've been going over, there are two training sessions or information sessions that are being put on by two of I would call them allies of ours in this in the march to get a credit union. One is by CU Collaborate. You should have just received an email on that. It's one that I sent out earlier this week, but there needed to be some clarification. I sent one of the two emails she sent to me. This one actually has more information as far as the scheduled time and the link to the meeting itself. And it's with an organization called CU Collaborate, which is a credit union I get they're not really a lobbyist, but they assist any organization that is attempting to charter a credit union. CU Collaborate is one of the, what's a good name for them, Adam? What should I call them? They don't really lobby on your behalf, but they really kind of coach you through the process of becoming a credit union. They're there to assist. And they have a training session on the chartering process on the 24th. The other, you probably have to go through your, I can resend this as well, but it is with a banking platform organization called Mambu and one of the major accounting firms in the world, Deloitte. They are putting on a presentation about the lending process from the consumer side of what the average consumer goes through and what the bank is looking for, how information is processed, graded, judged, all of those things, the type of documentation that you need, to go through the loan process as a consumer. And I signed up for that and sent the link to everybody else because just as Graceline Community, without being a credit union yet, but as Graceline Community, we need to be in a position to help people who are trying to get loans for businesses, getting loans for their homes, and things like that, so they're better prepared for the process itself. So these guys put on great presentations. They're obviously both closely tied to the banking industry. So I did sign up for that and made it available to everybody else in Graceline and beyond. Really, anybody can attend these. So, I mean, feel free to share it with people that you think might be interested in it.
Well, I do have a question, and that is, would you be able to help people in these areas of finance and loans and things like that before we are a credit union officially?
You mean as far as simply giving people advice and helping them to prepare themselves for the loan process?
No,
I mean, we
no,
can't loan any money because we're not a financial institution. I mean, anybody can loan money as an individual, to a friend or an associate or whatever. Graceline is not in a position to make loans to anyone, but we have people within this organization who can definitely help you be prepared for that situation and probably help guide you through it to a certain extent.
Okay.
And it totally depends on, what your needs are. Because if it was real estate, I could tell you exactly who's on this line today that you should probably go talk to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I mean, I would just take that under advisement that we can do that. And that's one of the things that we have been steadily preparing ourselves to do and will continue to do as Graceline Community, even when the credit union is open. That our financial literacy educational programs will not stop. Be closely tied to the credit union, but will operate independently of the credit
union. Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
Willis.
So Imam Talib, is that kind of the information that you needed as far as CU Collaborates?
Yeah, it is, and I would encourage any of us that has the time for the Mambu presentation, which is on the 18th, that we, as many of us that can attend that, my hope being that the information that they impart is going to be helpful to any one of us, whether we open a credit union or not. I'm just of a mind that, and I think I'm amongst them, that over the years, I've always thought that I was eligible for loans, but I never really liked going through the process. Part of it, of course, is that I don't accept no as an answer very well. So I even before I became Muslim, I didn't like gambling because I didn't like losing. If you've ever heard the term sore loser, that's me. So to avoid that, I stayed away. And the same could be said, in filing loan applications. And honestly, I came from a different era, particularly here in Washington, D.C., where you establish relationships with banks through their officers, or introductions to senior members of the bank through that particular officer. But if you go into many of the banks now, that doesn't seem to exist, or if it does exist, it's in a different form. And maybe it could be I'm just at the wrong bank. But I believe that my hope is that this upcoming seminar on the 18th will give me an updated look at what the loan process is. To see if, even, and I'm looking at it to see what the possibilities would be for leveraging at least a property that I own in order to be able to contribute to the build out of multi-units from a strictly commercial space to a commercial mixed use space that would include, what do we call it now? Not affordable housing, but there was another word we used.
Attainable.
Yeah, attainable. Right. And I speculate that I guess I may be working with about 10,000 square feet. So maybe I'd be looking at retail on the basement in the basement and first floor, with maybe 15 to 18 units, up top. So right now I'm just in the exploratory and planning stages, but getting a better understanding as to what the loan process is going to be helpful, to me personally. And then as I move around both our community and the greater community, I think it would also be helpful, to have that knowledge as well. Because it's a hard thing to see it's a hard thing to imagine yourself moving forward when you're not where you feel defeated in the initial processes, even before you get started. And so I hope to gather enough information to help people remove that, remove that sort of thinking, when they're looking to take that next step for either home ownership or just to be able to purchase a piece of real estate, whether it's for rent or for your own personal use. So I would encourage us to do that. In as much as the other seminar is concerned, I wanted to ask, have we set any sort of timeline to hear back from IRS on our status?
I think Adam might echo what I'm about to tell you, is that IRS is currently not working on any timelines.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, all we can do is wait. There's nothing we can do to massage it or,
Right.
might try
So
to call, but I'm not sure if they understand to answer the phone. So
right. So at the very least, and we don't need to do this today, but at the very least, can we start having some conversations about moving forward on another front?
moving forward, where?
In other words, starting the process over. Because
Well, I mean, if
I
you're
don't
talking
know
about
how long. I don't know
the
how long we're
IRS,
gonna have to wait.
you're talking about if you're talking about the IRS application, you do not want to start over.
There's no,
For 501c3, you do not want to start over.
yeah, there's no guarantee that will even work.
Yeah. So I think we're okay. It's just frustrating. That part of it is extremely frustrating because of this administration. I mean, before, COVID was a great excuse for why they delayed it so long before approving it. This may be worse than COVID because I just think there's a lot of disorganization in that agency right now. So
Purpose.
yeah, purposely.
Purposely.
Exactly. Right. we're just going to have to wait it out. I don't think there's any inroads, anybody that can get in to talk to somebody to make something happen. I don't know if those kinds of lines exist right now. So I think we just have to be patient on that front. I thought you were going to talk more along the lines of, moving in a different direction on the credit union.
Well, I mean, that is what I'm speaking of. I mean,
Okay.
That
Okay, so the two ways that we can move on the credit union are what? Number one is direct charter, which is what we've been working on. So we kind of know that process. We've gotten so far before this bump in the road with the IRS to be able to make another step in that process. So we know that route. The other route we have touched on, but we've never really drilled down into it, and that is taking over another credit union or two,
okay.
right? Those are the two pathways. And
All right, well,
that second one
then
was
prefer
presented
to,
to us with a whole list of credit unions that were in trouble. Remember us getting that list that time?
right.
Right. So I mean, those are the two avenues. That's how you do it, as far as I know. If there's a different one than those two, I'm open to that too.
So, I mean, the long and short of it is, then our conversation, I mean, I would like to see our conversation lend itself more to, I'm just going to say, buying an existing credit union or buying them out, or
Mm-hmm. I'm open to that. I've always been open to that.
Yeah, well, let's let me Google how to buy a credit union.
So about a year and a half ago, no, I'm going to take that back. Gosh, dang. Hey, good morning. Yeah, I'm going to say 2.5 years ago, there was an article published, and one of Rashid he had talked to like an African American Credit Union Association or something.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, there was an article that was published in one of their journals, quarterlies or something, and it was about funding credit unions and how you could now use subordinated debt capital acquisition. In other words, you could issue these notes, subordinated notes, that people who would then buy the notes, which would give you the capital to buy a credit union, and they would get, whatever, 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%. It was a way for people who would normally you would have to go beg them for money to help fund a credit union of which they really got no return on their money. It was a way to access funds and it was approved by Congress. NCUA adopted the rule, and the article was written by a law firm, one of the partners of a law firm in Washington, D.C. So we didn't go anywhere with it at that time. We didn't go anywhere with the list of credit unions at that time. But if that's something we want to revisit, there are more credit unions in trouble today than there were at that time. So we can definitely go there. And I think if we were going to even think about that, it'd be advisable for especially yourself, Imam Talib, to potentially have a conversation with that Washington, D.C. law firm on, just how viable this option is we're gonna, no matter which way we go, we're eventually gonna need capital. No way around that. So if you can raise capital by at least giving people the opportunity or the chance to have a return on their capital investment, you probably have a better chance of raising that capital more expeditiously than we'll take your donation and thank you very much. You have a nice write-off on your taxes if you can use it approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm open to all that kind of discussion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I wanna dive into that a little more.
Okay. So I will resend that article that Rashid sent. I saved it. I'll resend that. I'll resend that out. This has got all the contact information for the law firm, all that stuff, and can probably send a query into. I'll send a query into NCUA as well, just double check with them and make sure it's still a viable option. That it's not one of those things that it existed in the Biden administration but doesn't exist in the Trump administration.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you never know.
Right. Well, now just in simplistic terms, purchasing a credit union would require not only approval from the credit union's board itself, but also from NCUA?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. You would basically have to put together your group of 7 to 11 people, let's say. All of those individuals go through that vetting process that everybody's gone through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's some educational stuff, some boxes that need to be checked as far as your knowledge base, and all of that type of stuff, the normal stuff that we would have to go through if we were going through straight through just a regular chartering process. You're going to have to touch on some of that. The board of the existing credit union, I know that they would have a voice. I don't know how strong of a voice that they would have. If they are at the point that NCUA has them on a list of failed or failing, or however that designation works, then an injection of capital and new ideas and new marketing strategy and all that stuff. I'm kind of thinking NCUA is going to bend their arm behind their back and say, you got to take this, or we're just going to remove you anyway.
So even at that, one of the things that I'd like to also look into is we already know that to start a new credit union, we would have to raise anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, we're saying it might be less money taking over an existing credit union potentially because the infrastructure is already in place.
right, and my assumption would be that existing credit union also has assets.
Correct.
which would be a benefit, or which could be a benefit to any group that's I guess, is that acquiring them? Because it wouldn't be a merger because we don't have anything. So it would be an acquisition.
Yeah, it would be an acquisition, and with an acquisition, Adam, jump in here anytime you want to. Yeah, they would have assets. They also could have some liabilities.
Well, yeah,
They set with some bad loans
right.
and different and just bad decisions. Loaning $1 million on a $330,000 piece of property or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's a bad decision. Yeah, I got to laugh at that one myself. Oh man, yeah, that's
So I mean, yeah, you got to go through a complete examination of all their books, which
right.
NCUA is going to have a lot of that information put in front of you, and hopefully they would be sitting there telling you the pitfalls why you don't want to do this, and at the end maybe why you might want to do it. But I mean, but yeah, your capital contribution is going to have to be such that if why are they in bad shape, for whatever the reason they're in bad shape, your capital and how you use that capital, you're probably going to have to show NCUA that you know what you're doing, that you're actually going to be able to turn the ship around,
and to show them a potential, or show them through a plan how you intend on building up the credit union's membership.
Exactly, your marketing plan.
Right, with
Exactly.
more deposits and yeah, I would initially think that for I'm just thinking, for myself, if we could show pledges from people around the country to open up an account, let's say 1,000 people that agreed to open accounts at the credit union, and I'm assuming that NCUA would approve a credit union that we may purchase in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, that we could offer online banking and other types of services to our membership.
Yeah, that would be part of it. Our part of our thing right now too. Like you mentioned the number 1,000 accounts opening, which would be great, is that we're struggling to get to 2,000 names.
Right, but I think it's going to be easier to get those names when you are steps away,
Right.
or steps closer to getting a credit union, a physical place that people can look into and see, or you can do a presentation to them, that this community, that members of Imam W.D. Muhammad's community is purchasing a credit union.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, it may, I don't know if this is part of a legal process or not, but we could certainly look, I would think you could look at opening some sort of escrow account that you could also use to demonstrate to NCUA that you're already building this membership with deposits, and we're just waiting on the approval. I'm just kind of spitballing here because I mean I've never I've never thought about being a part of purchasing a credit union.
Right.
I know it did
Yeah.
come up. I
Yeah.
think
You can.
I think I may still have that list.
The credit unions, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I've got it somewhere.
yeah,
myself.
and I know it's old, but
Yeah.
but
We could get an updated list pretty easily, I'm sure.
right.
What I was going to throw into the mix is, I don't know if how open they would be. They weren't really that open 3 years ago, 4 years ago. There was an effort by our community in Orlando, Florida, to start a credit union. I want to say this may be 7 or 8 years ago now. And I think that they had also started the capital accumulation process with some kind of an escrow account. And they ran into, this is anecdotal, this is not official. They ran into the kind of issues that my family's mutual fund investment account ran into back in the 1990s. People started wanting to pull some of their money out so they could go on vacation or do whatever, right? Kind of thing. And the escrow had there was a date on it to break escrow, right?
Okay.
That if you hadn't reached the threshold or done this or done that, the escrow would break and people would get their funds back with whatever interest accumulation there was on it, that type of thing.
Okay.
People were really upset with that. They had read the document, signed their name, contributed their funds, but when the rubber met the road, it said no. It's another 7 months before we can break escrow.
Right.
They were totally out on that deal. They were mad.
Okay.
So I mean, you got to be prepared to deal with that.
No,
right?
and no, I understand that. I understand it. And quite frankly, I don't know any one of us that could truly speak on how this community has not been very responsive or receptive to moving us forward as a unit. Yeah, we like any of our situations, we may be successful individually, but we have failed collectively to make a difference, not only in the Muslim population across the country, but even that of those of us who identify with the African American community.
Yeah.
But now, having said that, it hasn't stopped any of us from doing the work that we're even attempting to do here. You know, I think it's why we keep coming back. You know, we're like the Jesse Jacksons of Islam. You know, you know, we just
This is a little easier
we keep
than
hope alive.
Jesse than yeah, but this is a little easier than Jesse trying to be president,
Oh yeah, no,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, I think we're a little bit closer than that. This is doable.
But even now, since you mentioned that, that was that is part and parcel of what I'm talking about, because I remember leaving the Democratic Party when Jackson ran and did not get the backing of the African American community. I mean, he sparked something in me that I remember thinking and saying to people, if he can run for president of the United States, the least I could do is run, you know, to be the nation's capital dog catcher, you know, to do something, you know, and then I became more disappointed when he went before the national convention and didn't say the things that I thought needed to be said, you know, based on his showing. Because I think there was a couple of primaries. If he didn't win them, he came in second. South Carolina kind of sticks out right now. But the point I'm making is that we're faced with the same thing that he faced when he decided to run for president and not get the support of his own community, the community that he came out of. So, no, I mean, I'm going into this with the full knowledge of what it is we're going to be dealing with. I mean, hell, we look at what we had to deal with just getting, you know, just trying to get, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like sponsorship of where we went to Philadelphia, we went to Florida, we went to Washington, D.C. You know, I mean, it's been a tough road, man. You know, but I'm too far down the road, you know, to just start hiking back. You know,
Well, the big thing is this is doable, and we'll actually get it done. The learning process, what we've learned, and all the little steps that we've taken, and the walls that we've hit, none of it's insurmountable. I mean, I used when I was a much younger man, and I can remember back in the '80s some of the business things that me and my partners and tried, and things that we were successful with, and you know, some of the things that we failed at, and just the ability to be able to sit there and just tick off all the stuff that we learned, things that we didn't know before, that some kindly banker or investor or businessman or something pointed out to us like we were total idiots, that were not, they weren't big things. They were like, oh my God, how'd we miss that? You know? kind of things. And the next time that we went after it, we knocked the ball out of the park. It was easy. And I mean, that's kind of what we're going through, what we've gone through, say, over the last 18 months or so, is some of these things that we've run up against, the IRS thing, for example, even the process with NCUA, with that meeting, that online meeting that we had with them, and the letter that we got back from them, all the learning process is highly profitable learning process. And the community support piece of it, that will happen at the right time. The capital, that will happen. And I was sitting right here today, 45 seconds ago, thinking, if all the capital comes from Jewish businessmen and the Jewish community, it would not surprise me one bit. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. This will happen. Because what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, is something that's not only going to benefit our community, it's going to benefit all communities. It will happen. I can sell it. I think each and every one of us can sell it. So it's going to happen. Yeah, the easiest path may be simply taking over some distraught credit unions.
Right. So our motto is, I never lose. I either win or I learn.
There you go. That's perfect.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who said that.
Well, I know Tyler, the Creator, said something close to that in one of his songs, his raps or whatever. I didn't actually listen to it, somebody pointed it out. That Tyler, the Creator, said something along those lines. Something like, at one time I thought that it was possible for me to fail, but when I really thought about it, I was lying to myself because all I could do is win.
Right. Yeah. That, matter of fact, what's the name? Quoted that. Coco Golf.
Oh, it's okay. So maybe that's where I heard it from. Then.
No. Well, wait a minute. Let me be clear. Coco Golf quoted Tyler, the Creator. So you were right.
Okay.
In terms of the origin.
Okay.
But yes, you're right. It was something like that. That was that he said that she used, or that she credited him with helping inspire her comeback against whoever her opponent was in the
French Open field. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So, and it was Nelson Mandela who is given credit for saying, I never lose, I either win or I learn.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, okay. So that'll keep me moving down this path, because I'm not one to want to rest along the path against some tree and start eating dates. And just kind of relaxing, looking for some water, and so yeah, I'd like to just kind of explore this this possibility and see what I can learn from this process and bring it bring it to the table.
Okay. So I'll see if I can once again locate that that article that Rashid shared with us with the law firm there in DC. And we'll come back next Sunday. We maybe we can have some more information, because I'll look at that. I'm going to look at that list of credit unions again, because there were a couple that were identified that were there in North Carolina. I know one in Raleigh, and I want to say one in Charlotte that were on that distress list in particular. And there may have been, I know there were a couple that were in New York. I want to say there was one that was in Virginia, one in the Philadelphia area. I don't remember if there was one in Florida or not, but I do know that there were a couple that were identified in North Carolina that a couple of people pointed out. Even I think Hope knew about one of them. They said, why don't we take over that credit union? I think it was something to do with newspaper personnel or employees, credit union or something. But anyway, we can go back over that, see where all that stuff is. So I know Imam Tariq had to leave a couple minutes ago. I think he has a standing meetings on Sundays that starts in about 4 or 5 minutes. But anything else that we need to discuss this morning? Sister Martha, I apologize. We haven't greeted you. Assalamu alaikum. I know that you came in a few minutes ago.
It's quite all right. And to everyone, alhamdulillah. Thank you so very much. I apologize for coming on later, but trying to get out from Pompano back to St. Petersburg.
Okay. All right. And I hadn't heard anybody talk about Pompano in years. You used to have a good friend that lived in Pompano. Yeah, my buddy Scott Sloan lived in Pompano Beach. So, anything else, ladies, gentlemen?
Oh, what's happening tomorrow?
What is happening tomorrow? Anything? I don't have anything going on, anything in particular here in Texas tomorrow.
No, I mean, are we having
collective conversations? Yes. I think we should have that program. Yes, and we'll figure out something provocative for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a series now. I think it's only audio. Well, we'll figure it out. I mean, there's some really provocative stuff going on in our world. We'll have plenty to talk about.
Yep, you do.
Yep.
You do.
So yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern time, collective conversations. I will resend that link so you guys don't have to search for it. And I'll send that out again, and hopefully I will see everybody tomorrow evening in good health. Imam Talib, will you close us out?
Yes, sir. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbana hasnatan afir kirati hasnatan akina dabina. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. All right, y'all.
All right.
So I'm gonna let
So
you
Eid celebration still going on where you guys are? It was yesterday the big blowout was kind of tapered down.
No, well, Eid is 3 days, so it's the second day, and we'll see what I would agree with you though. It's